All right. Well, first, thanks so much for coming. Um, and you're the first interview. Way to go.
Yeah.
So can you for our records, can you just say your name, age, what type of bipolar you have, and when you were first diagnosed?
Okay. My name is Lexis Glover, the age of 19, and I just have general bipolar disorder and was diagnosed at the age of 19, actually.
Okay. They never said like bipolar 1 or bipolar 2?
No, they just said bipolar disorder because before that, been diagnosed with schizophrenia, so they wanted to sort of ease the diagnosis process. So they just said general bipolar disorder.
Okay. All right, and so just some very simple background. For example, where are you from? Where you grew up? What were your parents like? Do you have siblings? How was childhood? Just some general
Okay.
information.
I was born and raised in Bronx, New York. I have two sisters, one older, one younger. And my parents are, they work hard. They're pretty much middle class, and we've been living in a very urban-like neighborhood that's, classified as the ghetto. So, living with my family, it's been okay, but the area that I've been in hasn't been, so.
Which is where again? Just in the Bronx, you said?
Yeah, in the
Okay.
Bronx.
And you mentioned earlier that you're staying in Brooklyn now?
Yeah, I'm in a shelter in Brooklyn right now.
What kind of shelter?
It's an LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender.
Okay. How long have you been there?
This is my second week there. Yeah, for the past few years, things have been tough for me. I've been, couch surfing, in and out of shelters, trying to find stable housing.
And what about moving back in with your parents?
That's not an option. Um, there's a lot of conflict within the household, strictly that forms from, how I react to certain things and my attitudes or certain things. It sort of makes them angry. So we lash out against each other and, start to argue a lot, and it's just bad. It's a bad environment for me to stay in.
For example, can you?
Well, for example, I'd feel a certain way off the back. I'd feel depressed or experience symptoms from schizophrenia itself, like hearing voices and seeing things. And when I'm at that moment, I just want to be left alone. And, unfortunately, when you're in someone's house, you can't just avoid everyone. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So what they do is they come to me, ask me things, ask me to do things, and I sort of have like this hostile reaction because I just want to be left alone, and then that generates an argument, which leads to more conflict. And that's the usual thing that happens.
But when you say you want to be left alone, and then that's not acceptable to them. I mean, is it they're trying to help, but they just don't understand that you just want to be left alone? Is that how the conflicts arise, or is it
Well,
just?
it's various things. Like sometimes it's that where they try to, figure out what the problem is and figure out what's wrong, and I give off a mean attitude saying because my mood is up and down, One moment I'm asking for help, and the other moment it's like, no, just leave me alone, and it leaves them very confused. It makes them confused, and it gets, very confrontational when I start to react a certain way, because in my household there's a thing about respect and disrespect. And usually when I'm angry, yeah, of course it's disrespectful, so that's where the arguments come into place.
Okay, you mentioned that you were crowd surfing, couch surfing, and staying in various shelters. I mean, how successful has that been? I mean, is it difficult to find a shelter to stay in?
Yeah, in New York City, it definitely is hard to find a shelter, considering my age, because most of the time I would apply for certain shelters and they turn me away because I'm 19, and you'd have to be like around 21, or you'd have to be a single parent or with a family. So being just 19 off the back, it's just hard to find a shelter. So yeah, I mean I've been in and out of one shelter for like 2 years, and now I just discovered the shelter I'm in currently.
Okay. And it's going well there so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was your first memory of an incident or feeling that made you possibly, when you first recognized that you might suffer from bipolar?
Um,
Do you have an early memory of that, or is this something more recent? You mentioned that you were diagnosed with schizophrenia before, and then
yeah.
bipolar came later.
Yeah, I feel like I've been bipolar for a while now, further than my diagnosis period. Um, but yeah, I can't remember an exact moment when it started. I just knew that my ability to control my emotions have always been a problem since like the age of 14.
Okay.
And I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia since the age of 14, so it seems like everything just sort of piled on when I hit that age. So.
Okay. So, but it was never, it wasn't really one specific incident or anything like that. It was just kind of something that evolved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worse and worse.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, does anyone else in your family suffer from bipolar?
Um, no, no. I have family members with other diagnoses in the mental health field, but
For
not
example?
bipolar. My father has OCD, and my sister has ADHD, and I have a family member from my mother's side of the family who has schizophrenia. So it's sort of like within the family, but it seems like with me it's been the most severe for some reason.
Okay. Okay. So, you do you take any medication?
Yes.
Um, I guess more. I guess I would imagine there would be medication for schizophrenia and as well as bipolar. So, just specifically the bipolar.
For bipolar, I take lithium.
Okay.
That's basically it for bipolar.
Have you tried other medications, or it was just lithium from the beginning?
For bipolar disorder, it's just lithium
Yeah.
from the beginning. It seemed to have helped me a lot.
Okay. And what about the other medications?
The other medications were for schizophrenia. I've tried dozens, been on and off different types, and it's hard to keep up how many I've tried. It's been so many.
Okay. With the lithium, how many milligrams?
I take 900 milligrams a day, 300 3 times a day.
Okay. And are there side effects as a result of taking the medication?
Yeah, like I get dizzy sometimes, dry mouth, general side effects. Some days I feel a lot of side effects and I feel like the meds aren't helping, and then there's good days when the meds are helping. So it's like sort of adjusting within my body, but I've been taking it for a while now, so.
Do you feel like the medication sort of changes who you are? I know a lot of people describe almost feeling like a zombie, like the medication just kind of overwhelms their personality and their sense of self.
Yeah, it does. There's a plus side and a negative, So it's like the plus side is that, your mood is okay and you're feeling well, but then at the same time you're not able to, enjoy your mood because you're sleeping most of the time. So it's like it sort of negates everything to take meds, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
Sleeping,
other
I
ways.
mean, even just sleeping, just how many hours? I mean,
Maybe about 4 each time. Each time I take it, 4
like
hours.
immediately following?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't take it like right after I wake up, but you know, every time I take it, I fall asleep for about 3 or 4 hours.
3 times a day?
Yeah.
Wow. And so you take that consistently then?
Here's
Or
the
just
thing.
situationally?
I take it as much as I can, because at a certain point I get a little tired of it. So I may take it in the morning and the night, or I might take it in the afternoon or the night. Depends on how my day is going, because I don't want, the tiredness and, to be drowsy to interfere with what's going on during the day, because I have things to do during the day, and it could interfere with the whole process.
Right. And so how do you I think you said that you're currently unemployed,
Mhm.
and so how do you afford the medication? Do you have health insurance?
Yes, I have Medicaid health insurance.
Okay. Um, with a lot of the facilities you've been staying at, I would imagine there's probably a lot of support groups and counseling and such at places like that. Do you take advantage of things like that?
I'm very picky as far as who I receive counseling from, because I've had experiences in the past where my counselors haven't really helped me as much as I needed or as much as I like it. So um, currently I go to an outpatient facility that I just go to there. I don't receive counseling from the shelters I've been in and everything like that. Only when it's mandatory.
Okay. Um, but are there support groups, or is it just straight up counseling?
It's counseling, psychiatry, and I go to a wellness program, day program for wellness.
What's a wellness program?
Well, it's a clubhouse called Fountain House. Um, Currently there's one in the Bronx now, and it's sort of like various tasks that I do throughout the day,